Wasabi wallet. Unfairly private.
Welcome everyone. Happy Friday to all of you. We are back for another episode of Why Are We Bullish? And I've got some friends from across the pond that will be joining me today. They got me up early. Damn 7-hour time difference. I'm used to doing this with a beverage. I'm instead having a coffee. So a little bit different today. But I hope, and it looks like there's already like 60 people watching live. Thank you guys for joining us. Smash that like button, give this a share, help get more eyeballs on this. As always, this is live. Anything can happen. So a quick disclaimer from my friend Bill here.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
It's been a bullish week. Very excited for this show. We're gonna dive right into it. As always, I am Ben with the BTC Sessions, and this is your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
All right, before we get started, of course, let's take a look at where we are in the market today. I have the bitbo.io dashboard up. If you're not using this thing, you should be. It's pretty awesome. We're sitting at $57,380 some odd dollars. A single US dollar will grab you 1,743 sats. That is dropping, my friends. Stack them while you can. Fun fact, a year ago today was the massive sell-off where we dropped down to like 4K or something. It was insane. A year ago today, I did tweet on that day the meme from Leo DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not fucking selling. So I hope you stacked on that day. It was a good one. Now, as far as any other metrics we want to look at, 88.82% of all Bitcoin have been mined. And in terms of fees, actually not too bad today. 88 sats per byte will get you into the next block. And if you're willing to wait an hour, 17 sats per byte. That's maybe get some transactions through today. Of course, shout out to sponsors of the show, LEDN.io, where you can use your Bitcoin for a variety of different services. They've saved my butt a couple times where I needed to get dollars and I didn't want to sell my Bitcoin because that's taxable, and I was worried about buying back in at a higher price. So that helped me out. I was able to deposit, and when I got dollars into my bank account, as soon as I paid them back, I got back the same amount of Bitcoin, which is kind of the only number that matters to me. Of course, they've got their savings accounts and B2X offerings. Check it all out down below. Links there. Up next, Cobo Vault, one of my regularly used hardware wallets. It is 100% air gapped, totally offline, all done via QR code. That keeps the keys to your money safe and offline. I am using the Pro with the rechargeable battery and the fingerprint scanner. Check it out down below. I've used it in a ton of tutorials as well, not just solo, but in concert with things like the cold card for multi-sig. Now, I do live on Bitcoin, of course. I'm all in as you can be. And one of the ways that helps me is Bitrefill. They have just about every gift card you could imagine. You can use on-chain and Lightning Network, and you actually earn sats back in the process. So be sure to check them out. They are awesome. And finally, guys, I've been hearing horror stories as of late. Please be careful backing up your wallets. The past couple of weeks alone, I've had 3 different people call me, say, hey, I don't have my backup anymore. How do I get my Bitcoin back? You can't. It's fucking gone, dude. You got to be careful. So you can put it on paper, but you know, that's susceptible to fire, water damage. You might throw the damn thing out, which are all 3 cases that I heard in the past couple of weeks. Other option is something like the BillFodl, where you can put it in solid steel. Again, that saves you from fire, water, and you're probably not going to throw out a solid hunk of steel. So check them out, privacypros.io. And with that, let's ditch this screen and let's start bringing up some of our guests. We have Dave, we have Molly, we have Danny, and we have Zakk, all from CoinCorner. CoinCorner takeover. Welcome, guys. How are you?
Hello. Thanks for having
Hi.
us.
Hey, Ben. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem. Are you guys what time? It's like 5 something there, right? 5 in the getting into the evening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
10 past
yeah.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a
Okay.
lot
So
in the
it's
Bitcoin industry.
yeah, 10 a.m. I couldn't bring myself to have an actual drink, so I'll be thinking of you as I make myself an old fashioned this evening. So, guys, welcome. It is a bullish looking day. We've been kind of bumping up against previous all time highs. Things are looking exciting. I feel like we've got to smash through an all time high this weekend. It just seems like it, but we'll see. But we're doing why are we bullish? And we go by the 3 R's here. We give a reason, we riff on that reason, and then we rotate. So I'm going to get us started off on a bullish reason, and then we'll riff on that a bit before we move on. So I'm going to bring up a tweet. It's kind of like a backwards reason for me being bullish, but it does kind of show how hard they're trying to keep the status quo going. This is an article from Reuters. U.S. households ended 2020 with a record 130 trillion in wealth. Fed says. I tweeted out, "Don't worry, America. The Fed says you're richer than you've ever been." Clearly, obviously not the case, but we've seen a lot of this. We've seen like a lot of the inflation reports, how it's not even that bad, but they're omitting very important things like fuel and food and housing and all the stuff that you really need to live. And so it just seems like, in the face of the craziest monetary policies we've ever seen, they're doing everything that they can to say that it's all fine, nothing's going on here, ignore it, do not look behind the curtain. But at least we have a way to opt out. So if anything, I guess headlines like this are kind of vindication and proof of, people don't look at that headline and go, oh, I am richer than I've ever been. It's not like they're going to agree with that headline. Not to mention, if you get into the article, they talk about, well, we didn't really fully look at where that wealth is distributed. So that's kind of an important thing to be looking at. And they're measuring in dollars, which already is, sure, there's more dollars. Absolutely. Of course, there's more dollars than there's ever been, as is the case all the time. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I'll start passing it down the line. Have you guys seen stuff like this? And what do you think when you see headlines like, "Oh, guys, don't worry, you're the wealthiest you've ever been"? Let's pass it down, Dave. What do you feel about this?
Well, we've got something similar in the UK where recently went through the central bank's forecast for inflation, and they were just saying, "No, next couple of years will be 2%, as it's always been," and their target is 2%. But you're right; it's the makeup of it. They use like a index average shopping bag or whatever it is, which hasn't been updated for a while, and omit some certain assets that they would have to bring in, like housing costs and things like that. So you look at it and you just think, it reminds me of kind of like in 2008, the housing crisis, and all the rating agencies were still saying, "Oh, these mortgage-backed bonds or mortgage-backed equities are still AAA rated." But, it's all about who are they looking after here, really. And you delve a bit deeper into it, and you're like, actually, I'm not having it. I'm 2% inflation for me. If you put into a basket of things that come to 2%, yeah, you'll get 2%. But actual inflation, maybe a different story. And if you got America, the stimulus coming out 1.9 trillion, is it? That's coming. Everyone's getting a check, and then you're still saying that inflation will, So everyone's got a lot more money, and the price of goods is still going to stay the same. Even productivity won't increase. People just
seems delusional, doesn't it?
It is bordering on that now, where it's just like, okay,
or intentional misinformation, which I'm sure it is as well.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah,
this is Dave's one of his passions to talk about this stuff. You can see his little face light up.
Yeah, how long we got? It's maybe a while.
I love it. It's funny. There's a book. Actually, I lent it out to somebody that I've just orange pilled recently. But the book is called "This Book Will Save You Time." And one of the things discussed in it is some of the sneaky ways that they get around showing inflation, and shrinkflation is one of them. How the products and it's you can't quite blame the companies for this because they're responding to the money, right? They're saying like, well, some company is going to be deceptive in their packaging. And if I don't do it too, then I'm going to look more expensive, and then it's going to be a problem for me, and I will lose market share. So like examples of this are like the peanut butter, where all of a sudden that divot in the bottom is starting to creep higher and higher until there's less peanut butter. And there was one good example, actually specific to the UK, was the price and size of a Snickers bar over the course of like a few years. And it was insane. It literally shrunk by almost half and doubled in price over the same time period. It was crazy. And I like, again, it's Fiat food, but at the same time, like I know you guys have to know when you pick up a candy bar, like the little like Reese peanut butter cups or something, and you're like, these are minuscule compared to like, I remember getting them as a kid and being like, oh my God.
We have a good one. Sorry, we have a good one in the UK with the Quality Street, which I think you can just Google the image and you can see from back in the, I think it was the 90s, then the noughties, and then teens, and each one is about 4 or 5 of them, I think, over the decades, and it's just got smaller and smaller, but more expensive as well. It's just incredible to watch.
I think no one's aware as well. Everyone notices it.
I'm not gonna lie, I do question sometimes whether my hands have just got bigger or the products got smaller. So I'm that person that's like just falls for it.
It's for sure that your hands must be maybe it's because there's multiple mollies out there and they're all helping you lift it, and it seems a little bit different. Molly, have you, like, what are the things that you're noticing in this realm, like the deception around pricing and inflation and things? Like, are there day-to-day things that you're like, what the hell, this is so much more expensive?
Yeah, I mean, chocolate bars, obviously. That's the standard one. I don't know if it's the same with you guys over in the US, but certainly over here, fuel, car fuel is ridiculous. Like, that just keeps going up. And I like to drive, so that's just really not that hobby on the head. But yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, you don't actually realize it until you stop to think about it. These things creep in so slowly. And then it's when you have these sort of conversations where you're like, oh, shit. Like,
I think, milk over here, this is a random tangent, but milk has recently switched from pints to litres. I think they're doing something dodgy there, where they're squeezing out a little bit.
You think there's something dodgy going on with the milk industry?
I do, on the island.
You are the word with yourself. A bit too much of a conversation.
They can squeeze a few more pennies out by switching it to litres.
Maybe.
Hey, that'd be something you do, Dave.
I would.
And what about, so like, you know, they're kind of doing this twofold. They're trying to say that everybody's better off than they really are. Like, for example, the Reuters article saying, oh, there's a fair amount of wealth going around. But I mean, isn't it deceptive to create a ton of money, have it funnel to a small number of people in particular, and then give like a pittance out to the rest, in the form of a few checks here and there? What matters isn't the number of dollars that you currently have, but the percentage of the total purchasing power of an entire economy that you have. And when that number is shrinking in relation, just because you've printed more dollars and you have more dollars than you had before, but a lower percentage of total dollars, you are not wealthier. So if
you look at the Gini coefficient of a wealth disparity in most countries like this, like America in particular, there's a huge wealth divide between people who the haves and the have not, really. And this will probably get a bit bigger with the stimulus checks, the way that the money's filtered, like you're talking about. Those with assets, those assets bubble a little bit and they become more valuable per se, and that actually those without those sorts of assets are left behind almost. So that Gini coefficient, the balance between the people that have money and don't, that gap widens. And then you just think Bitcoin actually is a way for people to circumvent that, move around that system, and loop out and create their own wealth. That's how
I saw a stat here in Canada where I think that the top billionaires in the country actually grew their wealth by 30%. during the pandemic. But I mean, again, I feel like some of the anger is just pointed in the wrong direction because people don't fully understand what's happening. You know, they see some people getting richer by virtue of the fact that they own assets, and don't see the fact that the printing of the money and the fact that they don't have assets is the real culprit, as opposed to that damn capitalism that, you know, I think. Yeah. Maybe if Zakk or Danny want to hop in on any thoughts here, and then we can jump to the next topic.
Yeah, just on that, I think like the average person, the average American, probably doesn't understand the financial world. Like even myself, before working in an industry like this, I didn't understand basic financial concepts essentially. So it kind of just goes over most people's heads, and they don't even think about what's going on and all the things that are happening.
Yeah, 100%. How about you, Danny?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I was going to pull up there. So the house prices is one. I know that it's not quite the same as your everyday goods, but we're already seeing here house prices increase drastically and quickly. Houses here in the Isle of Man as well. We've seen recent where people put houses up for sale and they're sold within a week, and they are getting snapped up. They can't build them fast enough right now. And the prices are going up as well, and people are still buying. So, you know, there's moving parts to that. Could be new, you know, people on the new buyers scheme, for example, that maybe be trying to come in. It's becoming harder for them potentially as the prices are increasing. The wealthy people, so there's a lot of wealthy people that will come over to the Isle of Man, say high net worth, and they'll come over and they're buying property. Sometimes they're just buying property to have an address and an investment as such, so it's a store of value. So people are buying that, and then that's forcing the people on the lower end of the market that the prices are still going up on the houses on that in that respect, and then people trying to get on as first-time buyers or whatever, they're then struggling to actually get on the housing ladder and be able to buy something because it's being forced on it. So you know, this is all obviously part of the knock-on effect of the current climate, and I think this is the first time. I mean, I've been on the island for coming up to 10 years now. And house prices have always been fairly high here compared to where I'm from back in the UK. But this just recently, they've gone absolutely nuts. And that's since last March, since the sort of financial crash. So it's interesting to watch at the minute.
It's sorry, mate. It's the centillion effect in action, really, isn't it? It's the distribution of wealth coming from banks.
Yeah.
It moves down. Primarily, the mechanism to move wealth to people is through mortgages. So you would see mortgage prices increase anyways as well, and house prices increase as well. But it's the centillion effect is where it's the distribution. It's closer to be the people benefit the closer they are to the source of the increase in money. So the people holding those assets are going to benefit. People should look into the centillion effect. It nails the current problems on the head quite well.
It really does. The other thing I was going to mention, completely, well, not quite side tangent, but the recent announcement from the Bank of England, which they put out the tweets, which was in binary, and then it spelled out effectively that they were introducing a new £50 note coming soon.
What, a tweet in binary?
Yeah,
excited, Dave. New £50 note.
Oh, I never missed that. What?
It was
tweeting zero.
Yes, it was it.
Zero. What's the binary? Is that zeros and what?
Yeah. So that
is the new way to tweet. That's brilliant. All my communications like that.
When you find out what it was, and it's a new £50 note. Being from the UK, you don't ever really see £50 notes. You don't ever really use them. It was kind of like saying, inflation's coming, guys. Get ready to use £50 notes more often. It felt a bit of a weird concept. So I don't really understand why they were looking at introducing it. I appreciate they brought out all the new notes for the 5s, 10s, 20s as well, and I guess this is just a follow-on. But it just felt so weird. Everyone's in this current climate, the economy and whatnot in the UK, where people are losing jobs and things like that. Where all of a sudden they're making some big exciting announcement about a new £50 note coming out. It just felt very, very odd. Do
you think they'll have to bring out a £100 note, a £200 note? You see it in most inflationary economies, where the notes get massive.
Yeah, but that was my thought process. It was kind of like, oh no, here comes inflation. It's like behind the scenes. It sounds a bit conspiracy to some extent that, but you get where I'm coming from to where that is. So again, being from the UK, I know. I mean, you guys have. When was the last time you saw a £50 note?
I can't remember seeing
Right,
one.
I'm not gonna. Right,
Don't
here's
exist.
the truth. When I used to work in retail, we used to have to check every £50 note under a special light to make sure it wasn't fake. That's how hard. That's how rare they were that people never used them.
Right.
That's too funny.
No, they're not.
We used to have in Canada, there used to be $1,000 note, which probably I'm thinking that's like I can't recall what dollars to pounds is right now. I think it's like a $1.80 is about one British pound. Yeah. So you'd be looking at 600-700 pounds or something in a single note.
What would you do with that? You could just go to a bar and just really show off.
Yeah,
you rock up,
a drink, $2 drink,
slide down across the table. Yeah, I'm a wealthy individual.
Yeah, I need to pick up some gum.
Well, on the flip side of that, we've only just phased out the £1 note over the last few years on the island.
Yeah,
I've got one downstairs actually. I've kept hold of
it. I'm sure it'll accrue in value, right?
Collectors.
Oh man, I love it. Okay, so let's round out this this topic here. So basically, we're pretty much all in agreement that everything is bullshit and the world is trash. So let's move on from here. Yeah. We have a ton of people watching live, lots of comments coming in. Thank you guys so much for being here. Smash that like button, give this a share, and let's get even more eyeballs in here. We're going to move on to our next reason for being bullish. I'm just going to do this in the order that I see on my screen. So I'm going to actually toss it to Dave first, and maybe you can let us know what your reason for being bullish this week is.
Right. This week, it definitely related to the stimulus checks that are going through America. I don't know. Someone was tweeting out recently how much the original stimulus check had gone up if they bought Bitcoin and how much it would be worth now. So I know it's all coming out. Everyone's getting the checks in the next couple of days. I think you might see a bit of price action if people just pile it into Bitcoin. And obviously that's in the short term, being bullish on the price. And then in the long term, as we've just discussed, all the inflationary issues and monetary policies that we see globally, how Bitcoin could be a way to opt out of that system is why I'm long-term bullish. Also, which kind of boils down to...
I'm just bringing that up right now here.
Yeah, exactly.
So $1,200 stimulus now worth, and this is an account, you should probably follow it, called Bitcoin Stimulus. You'd have over $10,000 if you bought Bitcoin with your stimulus check, which was $1,200. And that's just with the first one.
That's just mad, isn't it?
That's insane.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what you want to see. But it's if people aren't thinking again this second time around with their next check, you just think, ooh, you'd get involved, wouldn't you? So that's why I'm bullish, very short term and extremely long term as well. It's all good.
I think you're pretty spot on. I think more people are kind of privy to what's happened in the past year will be looking to there could be a mix because
I'm hoping people will be more aware now because of what's happened and that Twitter account that people like first stimulus check, they might have missed it, but second one they'll be like it might be a bigger audience so that more people get involved.
Well, did you see the coin? So back at the original stimulus check, Coinbase put their stats out in terms of the amount of bank deposits into their system on the day the stimulus check was released, or the public received it, and it spiked up significantly for that value. Yeah.
Wasn't it specifically for $1,200? That was the full amount.
Yeah, it was for the exact amount.
That is a bit bullish, isn't it? Let's forget the groceries.
Yeah.
Bang it all in.
So it will be interesting to see if that same thing plays out. And like you're saying there, actually with what's gone on in the last 12 months as well, on top of that, it should be interesting to see that spike. I would guesstimate, that's going to spike quite a bit more than it did previously.
Yeah. I would think that
the numbers. Oh, sorry, go on.
There might be a little bit of a mix. I think the people that have done a little bit of research and have orange pilled themselves over the last number of months will definitely be in that box. But then your regular kind of like Robinhood bro is probably going to buy some GME And you'll see some volatility happening there.
People might be put off because it's an all-time high. Like they might be thinking short term that it's all-time high. People traditionally wouldn't buy at all-time highs if you're looking at it that point of view. But if they've, like you say, orange pilled up, they'll know this has got a long way to run yet.
Yeah, 100%.
Always buy the top. Always buy the top, Dave.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, yeah, I think someone ran the numbers. I was reading a tweet earlier that if 5 million Americans, only 5 million bought Bitcoin with a stimulus check, it'd be like 11 times more buying power than when Tesla bought it.
Oh wow!
Insane.
I'll have to dig out the tweet.
Wow.
Yeah, someone had ran some numbers and.
Yeah, it's interesting actually. To that point, this seems to be kind of the year that the narrative is around institutional, but from what we've seen, even with the example of something like GameStop, when the little guy kind of pulls into a single movement, it can be pretty staggering what can happen with that. And I know that GameStop is obviously not the size of Bitcoin, but it's interesting to see there is a small pool of liquidity within Bitcoin in terms of coins that can actually be sold. And to have that kind of a movement behind it, I think that, yes, institutions will continue to kind of move the needle there. But I think if we see a similar cycle to last time, it'll be the FOMO of retail that really contributes to that blow off top yet again, because the liquidity will be so thin at that time. And if everybody and their grandmother buying stacking sats is going to be a tough one. Yeah.
I think the internet is undefeated, isn't it? If you get a community together on the internet, you bring down anyone.
Yeah, 100%.
That sounds kind of threatening.
Go on, Dave. What are you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to mention some China thing, but they managed to stifle the internet quite well, don't they? But
did they?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. How do you know? Yeah, a little bit. Mainstream media news.
China,
anyway, let's not go there.
Yeah. What I'm curious is, in a situation like that where Bitcoin really starts to run, I mean, how, if governments wanted to really crack down on that, and obviously it'd be pretty localized, like you might have certain platforms that get shut down, but I mean, we've seen it time and again where something gets, and I don't think it's going to get banned, but where for instance, with Robinhood and GameStop, they were able to just say, okay, well, no more of this. We'll just stop that from happening.
You can look at what happened in Nigeria recently. Their central bank restricted withdrawals to $100. Even if you had more than $100 in your account, you couldn't take more than $100 out because they were worried about assets moving out of the country. And then obviously they try to ban Bitcoin on it. Nigeria, if I remember, is the second biggest market in the world for Bitcoin, just behind America, and they tried to ban it. And all that's happened is that usage has gone up. With Bitcoin
spiked, doesn't it?
Yeah, Bitcoin spiked. If you look at Google Trends, all the usage, Nigeria's just gone through the roof. They're just actually circumventing the restrictions that have been put on them by the Nigerian central bank and using Bitcoin as a genuine alternative, which is also a reason to be bullish. Because if that's what anyone can do now.
Yeah. My favorite thing about that, I don't know if you guys saw. Well, so they previously banned it, and then people were using it so much that they had to then reiterate that it was banned, which is hilarious in the first place. Because really,
guys, it's still banned.
Yeah,
just
so you know, we banned it, but we just wanted to reiterate that it is still indeed banned. And then they also came out and they have a limited engagement where if you use approved rails for remittances, like official, like government sanctioned rails, then they're going to give you extra money as like a special promotion to not use Bitcoin. So not only did they ban it twice, but they're now paying people to not use it still.
They asked the banks for all the details of people actually trading and depositing with Bitcoin exchanges. So the government actually asked banks for the details of those depositors so they could track people down.
Yeah, it's
getting
wild.
I don't like it.
Wow. All right, let's get into our next reason for being bullish. We're getting close to 100 people watching live. We've been up in the 90s. Smash that like button. Give this a share. We'll get even more eyeballs in here. So we're gonna jump over to Molly. Molly, what is your reason for being bullish this week?
2 words: Michael Saylor. He's always my. Do you know what? Genuinely, he wasn't my reason up until the announcement today. I had another reason, but then he announces, his buy. It seems to be a weekly thing at the moment. It's a bit weird actually when he doesn't announce a buy. You're a bit like, Michael, are you okay? But yeah, honestly, I have never known someone like I don't know whether to be concerned for him, whether he's had too many orange pills, like whether he needs help, like I don't know whether he needs to go to Bitcoin rehab, or whether he knows exactly what he's doing and he's just going absolutely jumping in with both feet.
It's amazing to watch. His dollar cost, his weekly DCA puts my lifetime of stacking to shame. Like every time, if one man could make me feel like more of a useless twit, it's him.
He's going for that 100,000 bitcoins, isn't he?
He absolutely is, for sure. But then,
91,000?
Yeah, I think so.
200,000.
So yeah, 200 and then 400.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like whenever there's a target, it's like everybody has, people coming in right now may have a target of, I want to have 10 million sats. That's like a good round number or whatever they're looking at. But whenever you hit that number, it's inevitable. Yeah. You're like, how about 20 million? And like it's always
going. I just think it's crazy. Go on.
Yeah. He's doing exactly what he's set out to do and he's planned to do, hasn't he? And he's effectively buying DCA with whatever spare cash they've got, and from that, that's encouraging others to go at it. So yeah, this is again continuing over the last 3 or 4 months in terms of the most bullish news I think you'll get, because he is just continuously doing this and giving more people at institutional level, I guess, the confidence to join him, as we've seen with Tesla, and obviously Square was slightly before them, but they've continued to buy more as well recently. And it's just becoming a natural thing that, if these companies, even if they're not buying at the minute, it's on their radar, they're paying attention, they're actually, they're having board meetings discussing whether to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And Michael's just helping that along the way. He's driving that forward.
I think what I also respect a lot about him is the fact that he is putting the time and effort in as well to educate. Like he's not just coming in, buying it and not helping the community. He's creating the websites, the resources, he's doing the events. Like I respect him a lot for that. It kind of shifts your view that he's not just coming in to make money and get out.
Yep.
100%. Yeah, and I mean it fits with his thesis, right? His whole thesis is that it's a liability holding dollars, and that his wealth will melt away from underneath him, and he's got a responsibility to shareholders to not hold something that is going to diminish their purchasing power over time. And so and from what he's put together, he's decided Bitcoin is what makes sense as like the world's supreme store of value asset. And so naturally, as his company makes money, he's going to pile it into Bitcoin. And if he can get money on the cheap through debt instruments, then he will also pile that into Bitcoin. And it's interesting. I had somebody in the chat here. They said, here we go. How large a HODL stack can one entity hold before their position is so large that it negatively impacts the value of Bitcoin, like MicroStrategy, Winklevi, so on and so forth? Honestly, like if somebody is stacking that hard, and especially at this point, like the Satoshi coins are basically, they're not going to move, right? Like we have early hodlers that still have we know they have access to their coins, and they've moved very minimal amounts of them because we see them move from time to time, but they've still got like diamond hands, and it's astounding that some of these early hodlers still hold them. But really, like an individual holding a lot of Bitcoin should they decide to dump it at one point, can only have a limited effect on the price. And once they've sold, they've sold. And who's that transferring to? Somebody who wants the Bitcoin more than them. So in the end, like it all kind of evens out. There's ebbs and flows, but I don't know. I don't worry too much about that. Do you guys?
No, not really. I think one of the things as well. Sorry.
Go on, you can
Go,
go.
Molly.
No, I was just gonna. Oh, Danny, go on.
Let's
go.
let's do Danny and then Molly.
God, I forgot what I was going to say now. So the when you look back at the old long-term hodlers from back in even 2009, 10, 11 time period, if they were in Bitcoin back then and they understood it enough to purchase or mine a lot of Bitcoin and hold that, there's no doubt about it. They've been doing that over the years since then. And it goes with Satoshi. I always come back to this one with Satoshi as well. And people always say, you're worried he's going to dump, million Bitcoins or whatever he's holding is. And the reality is, if he had a million, there's a million there that we know about, or kind of know about. If he has that and this continues to become something over the years, he's going to be continuing to be mining, to be buying, to accumulate. He could quite happily live the rest of his life, or whoever this person is. It could be long-term hodlers as well from back in 2010. They could quite happily live the rest of their life on Bitcoin they've accumulated over the last 5, 6, 7 years and never have to touch the old ones because they have so much of it. It's not really. It does make me feel sometimes that a lot of the old coins may never move because they don't need to. Them people that have them were bullish on Bitcoin 10 years ago. Unless anything changed in their mindsets and their personal circumstances to some extent, why would they ever need to move them? They've probably got more than enough to live the rest of their life off from the 2012, 13, 14, 15 periods. So,
Molly, you were going to jump in too?
No, I was just going to say, I think sometimes like we worry about people like Michael Saylor coming on, dumping their coins and affecting the market, stuff like that. But I think we forget as well that he's made those purchases without dramatically moving the markets, and it wouldn't be in his best interest to dump the coins, and create a panic, because then you've got a lot of coins to shift, so he'd end up losing money. But yeah, I just think we forget that aspect. He's bought so much without moving the market, so we don't have to worry about stuff like that.
Yeah, I think institutional time preference is probably a lot longer than the average retail time preference as well. So the average retail might, take some profits at a certain price, but institutions tend to be in these kind of things for longer. So I wouldn't be worried about any kind of dumps in the next few years.
Yeah, it's taking loans out to buy more Bitcoin, but you could also take a loan out for operational costs as well. And at some point, he's got that Bitcoin as collateral to put down against these things. So it kind of makes no sense to sell at some point. If Bitcoin continues to do what it was built to do and increase in value, then why would you sell when you can take a loan out? And
why swap a deflationary asset for an inflationary one? It makes no sense.
No.
Yeah, it's true. I want to interject here with a quick shout out, Paul. See you all at 2021. Happy 18th birthday to my beautiful daughter, April. Bullish on my Bitcoin friends and family. Peace and love. Happy birthday, April. I hope your dad has put away a stack of sats for you. Awesome.
March
guys, there's like
best babies.
That's true. My birthday's coming up. I've got I'm on the 27th. Oh, really? Happy birthday. Look at us all.
Zakk's was yours Tuesday.
Well.
Yeah, mine was a few days ago as well.
Oh man. Wow.
Me and Dave
it's a bullish month. Exciting. And actually I've got a kid on the way in a few weeks here, although he may be born in April. We'll see. So coming up, bullish on new Bitcoiners being born into the world. Guys, there's 100 people watching live. Smash that like button, give this a share. We're going to keep going and move on to our next reason for being bullish. I'm going to pass it to Zakk. Dude, what has you bullish this week?
Right, so slight tangent from the price and buying Bitcoin. I'm bullish on Lightning. So I was reading Lightning Lab's recent March newsletter, as I usually do, and it just kind of reconfirmed how important the Lightning Network is going to be, in my opinion, to facilitate payments on the Bitcoin network. And it just, the amount of companies building on it already and the amount of development going on there, the newsletter really highlighted that. Obviously, us at CoinCorner, we've been bullish on Lightning for a few years, but we've got large exchanges now integrating. OKCoin basically announced and integrated within probably a 30-day period. We've got Kraken announcing they're going to do it. So I think this time as well with the mempool, so the mempool hasn't cleared completely since the start of the year. So it just pushes more adoption to Lightning, I think, and it stops these. I've always said it stops these shitcoin shills. They can't compete with Lightning instant transactions for a few Satoshis fees. The security of Bitcoin. It's just this is the year for Lightning, I think. Bullish on Lightning, bullish on Bitcoin.
I was going to jump in there. Do you know? I don't know if you saw the other day about was it Nano?
Yes, I was just going to say.
So many people. I put a tweet out and you get people saying, "Oh, Nano's quicker, use this, blah blah blah." And then the other day, it got spam attacks basically, and crippled the network and killed the network. So somebody's, I think, still, as far as I'm aware, still spam attacking it because they don't have the fee structure in place the way Bitcoin does. So it is cheap and effectively free to send on there, and it's now bloated the network. And I don't know if it was their main developer, or I don't know who it was that commented in one of the forums and basically just said, "Yeah, sorry guys, but it's pretty much globally down and no one can really do anything." But, that was, don't want to say hilarious, but that was part of I guess highlighting and showing how well Bitcoin has been built in terms of thinking around things like attacks like that.
Well, everything's a trade-off, right? Like people don't realize, hey, if you want to offer instant and free transactions, there's a very real cost to that. And it turns out that giving people free instant transactions also means that it is free and instant to spam and take down the network. There's always, and the fact of the matter too, where afterwards they said, well, we called up the node operators and we asked them to restrict the amount of transactions. The fact that they could just call people up and be like, hey guys, can you just like stop letting through so many transactions? And then it still screwed them because the guy kept spamming. And so then only a smaller portion of like quote unquote legitimate transactions were getting through. And it's
how many node operators can they have just to call them up? We've got like 10, just a little list of them.
Handful, yeah.
A little list to go through.
Yeah, exactly. Like it does, nothing seems like a bad idea until it seems like a bad idea. And like Bitcoin has been built with a very specific kind of like bottom up infrastructure in mind, and keeping the sanctity and security of that base layer, so that in my mind, nothing could be more bullish than the Bitcoin base layer just totally ossifying and just being untouchable, and then everything migrating to layers above. And when we get to that point, it will be an incredible moment, because you can't build skyscrapers on shaky foundations. And if you're trying to build all of these apps and layers on top of something where you can on a whim call up a foundation and basically come to consensus on a major protocol breaking, non-backwards compatible, quote unquote, upgrade, is a problem. And people don't realize this, I think. But in terms of Lightning, though, I use it every day. Like I live on Bitcoin. I have somebody who helps me with my show notes, who, by the way, who I have no idea what his real name is. And he's just like an anon on Twitter. And he just does my show notes for me. And whenever he's done, he shoots me a Lightning invoice and I pay him right away in a second. And it's amazing. And Lightning has come so far in just a couple of years. I remember using it the first time in 2018 and it was not what it is now. And I mean, it's like Bitcoin, using Bitcoin in 2014 with Bitcoin QT.
I used to think Lightning had a bit of a UX problem. There's a bit of a barrier because of the technicalities of it is quite daunting. But then only last week, my brother-in-law, who's not a techie at all, just showed me how far his Umbrel node was coming onto syncing up, and it was beating mine. And we're all racing in the office to get our Umbrel node synced. And I stupidly made a cost-cutting decision not to use an SSD hard drive.
Classic accountant decision.
Yeah. Save a few pennies, and now it's taking me weeks longer than everyone else's.
I was wondering about that, because I initially I did this one with an SSD behind me. Actually, I've got both. I got one of the crypto cloaks, the Triton, where you can get in two different Raspberry Pis. So I've got a MyNode and an Umbrel running in that, both on SSDs. But like the Umbrel one, I've got to say, like, you plug it in after you flash the SD card, and like right away you're basically into the interface, and then you can watch it syncing up. It's so cool. It's awesome.
The UX is amazing on Umbrella. Hats off to him. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think Lightning is only 3 years old now. Since it went live, and technology takes time at the end of the day as well. UX is always a problem early days. I think me and Zakk, when we was doing playing around with Lightning when that first came out, and we was using command line just to try and send a normal transaction, and it was chaos when you didn't understand what was going on with it as well. So yeah, of course it's come a long way. We've got the likes of Phoenix Wallet as well, which I think has made great strides in the last 6 to 12 months. And I think people don't sometimes understand how easy it is to actually use Lightning now with something like Phoenix. Download it, you've got a wallet there. You don't have to, it's your own node essentially, but you don't have to go through this whole complicated process and setup. I've done it quite often where I've put a tweet out saying, download Phoenix, drop your invoice into the comments below, and I'll send you some sats to get you going. And the amount of people that end up messaging me after that saying, like, wow, they didn't realize Lightning was that easy and that quick and good to use and so simple to use. Right now, I think we're in that process, jumping back to similar to what Zakk said there this year. Lightning, I think this is the year of more integration for Lightning, shall we say. And I think then the coming years after that, we'll start seeing more use cases and uses for it along the way there. So as mentioned there, technology takes time to embed. But it will be interesting to see that over this year, the exchanges coming on board, more developments and more wallets like Phoenix coming out. It's going to be good to see, I think.
Yeah.
Danny, I just want to jump in as well.
You go ahead, Molly.
Danny did a really great Lightning demonstration on Twitter with a guy from the US, didn't you, a couple of weeks back with Sammy?
Yeah.
Do you want to explain?
No. So he was so the idea, the concept behind that, similar to what Jack at Strike did. So just sending starting from your US bank account straight into Strike app, using that straight away to send Lightning payments across to somebody else somewhere in the world. So we did just similar manner from our side. We've brought Lightning in January this year, start of January. And we introduced it to the website first and then eventually to the app. So once we got it into the app, I wanted to kind of show the process, sending from a UK bank account into CoinCorner, into my CoinCorner account, and straight away from there sending out, which automatically flips that into Bitcoin, should I say, sorry. And straight from there I can send on the Lightning Network straight out to Sammy, who was in Seattle. He received that straight away on the Strike app and straight into his US bank account. And it was done, I mean, the video was about, was it 2 minutes long, something like that? Just over 2 minutes.
It was less than 2 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that was me talking as well and demonstrating, but that was literally the full process from UK bank to US bank, using Lightning in between 2 different companies. We're not associated with Strike and have no relationship with them, but it was able to do that and send it around the world within seconds.
It's insane. You're totally seeing this same kind of technology inversion that we saw with the internet and phone lines, right? Everybody was using the phone via telephone poles and all of those lines, and then the internet tried to piggyback on top of that. Then they built out the infrastructure for the internet, and the phone lines realized it was much more efficient to just use the internet and VoIP instead of traditional phone lines. And we're starting to see that with traditional banking now. We're going, oh my God, this is so antiquated. And then we're able to send value internationally in seconds for free. And banks, commercial banks are going, oh shit, maybe this is the solution, I suppose. It's crazy.
It is. It's good. It's going to be interesting. I think these next couple of years. I'm really looking forward to Lightning. I think on the back of Zakk's Lightning bullish piece, I think it's definitely something to watch out for, and not just in the payments sector as well. Sorry, hijacking your piece here, Zakk.
All right.
Something I was talking to somebody else about this earlier in the week, and there was things like the TLV shop where you're using Lightning effectively to operate an e-commerce website, and you don't have to have it effectively. You don't have to have a database with customer details in them. You don't have to have card details, obviously. And when you go onto a website, the TLV website, you've got lots of products on there. You pick the product, add it to the basket. QR code pops up with the invoice for the Lightning payment, and in that you also send across from your Lightning wallet your name, your delivery address, and so on. That goes across in Lightning. On the Lightning side of things, and doesn't touch their actual live database. They're able to then pull your details down. They can take them offline or whatever they want to do with them. Once they've used them, that invoice can be gone, deleted, it's disappeared. So your personal details, credit card details, nothing is actually stored on a website. And all of a sudden you've turned, like, this is all built on effectively on Lightning. You've created a new way to do e-commerce without having to store customer details. Which is incredible from data protection and PCI compliance side and things like that. This is something we always discuss internally, giving an idea out to anyone that wants to give it a crack. But Shopify, but with Lightning as a TLV shop and opening that up to the masses, that'd be something really interesting. Some of them sort of concepts.
That's
and
so
it's
cool.
not the only one. There's so many starting to come off the back now.
Well, Juice to work for Lightning Labs did a demo of what Danny's saying there, where he just sold run L&D stickers for a limited time using TLV. We bought some, so we literally over the Lightning Network made a purchase, included the delivery details, and then they showed up at our office a few weeks later.
Wow. It's crazy. Yeah, it's so much easier to onboard now. Anybody watching that hasn't tried Lightning yet, highly encourage you to check it out. There's the wallet that Danny was talking about, Phoenix. That's excellent. Although I think it's Android only, but another good option that is also your own Lightning node. It's not custodial in any way. Is Breeze, BREEZ, and same kind of thing. Like you start it up, it'll sync up its own Lightning node on your phone, and you're off to the races, and you can just start accepting payments and sending payments right away. It's crazy. So the thing I love about both of those wallets too is that if you're dealing with somebody that has a regular Bitcoin wallet, it still works. It'll still do a swap for you. So, you'll pay a regular Bitcoin network fee, but at the same time, anything that you receive goes right into your Lightning wallet as normal, and then is accessible as Lightning funds, and you can send to anybody, or anybody can send to you. It has a regular Bitcoin address in it as well. It's so much more intuitive now.
And that's all the UX. It just takes time. It takes these years to come on, and that's what it is. And you are going to get people that are going to troll you online and say, it's no good because it's not usable and so on. But it's technology. Technology takes time.
Yeah, we once had a guy, me and Danny went for a meeting with one guy doing his own thing, and he called the Lightning fake tech, and we asked him why, and he couldn't tell us why. And then he said he'd get his tech team to let us know why, and then we never heard of him again. But
guys, it's vaporware. Vaporware. And then somebody in the chat. So Breeze or Phoenix, are they both open source free software? Yes, they are. Yeah, you can go to their websites. They have tons of info about it. They have GitHub repos that you can check out. So it's all there. It's all awesome. Highly recommend that you check it out. So awesome. I am glad that you brought up Lightning. A great reason to be bullish, because I think we're seeing kind of like this stack be built up where we're achieving certain things along the roadmap to Bitcoin just kind of proliferating around the globe, right? You have kind of the base layer infrastructure, the kind of hopefully soon ossified base layer, where it's like that immutable store of value layer. And now we're seeing being built out, okay, well, you can also use this for payments. You can do cheap, fast transactions anywhere in the world, and like all these industries can piggyback on top of it. And I think it's just a fantastic thing to see. So thank you for bringing that up. And I will mention one other thing here. Don't forget, I don't know how to say this one. Mun.
No idea either.
I did play around with this one the other day. It's actually pretty cool. I've got to say, everything is just kind of automatic. You swipe from side to side to get either a Lightning or a regular Bitcoin QR, but it's all just a singular balance. It doesn't show us anything different. They do default into Lightning and then do swaps wherever you need. Yeah, so that's another cool one to check out. But
I think it's worth shouting out. Shout out to Blue Wallet as well. They're always doing really cool stuff with multi-sig as well. They're quite on the cutting edge.
Yeah, they're one of my day-to-day wallets.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Okay, cool. We'll round up that topic. Again, there's like 90 people watching live. Smash that like button. Give this a share. And let's get into our last reason for being bullish this week. I'm going to pass it to Danny. Dude, what has you bullish?
I guess on top of everything, I guess we've already covered and the usual things around Bitcoin. I think one of the things I wanted to kind of touch on today was a little bit more behind the scenes side of things. So I guess what a lot of people don't see in the public and what a lot of media doesn't pick up and things like that in terms of conversations, obviously from within inside a Bitcoin exchange, we have conversations with a lot of companies that maybe other people would not be privy to have them conversations. And what we saw, so going back to 2017, at the time we had a very small team and we was struggling to keep up with the sort of attention Bitcoin was getting at the time. So let's say May 2017, it really started to pick up. Conversations started to pick up. The sentiment was changing and the price was moving. So we did, I was absolutely non-stop 24/7 dealing with things within the company, but dealing with things, new people coming into the space, whether that was individuals or whether that was companies that were coming to talk to us because they wanted to get involved with Bitcoin. And we had them conversations all the way through 2017, all the way through till the end. Even coming into 2018, the first couple of months was still having them conversations with companies that wanted to get involved in Bitcoin, but didn't quite know how, didn't know what to do. There was very few of them would buy Bitcoin at that point, but they were all reaching out, trying to figure out what they could do. Now we are starting to see that sentiment again change. And I think over the last 12 months, we've been seeing it more and more. And especially coming into this year, we're starting to see again now the pickup of conversations behind the scenes where companies themselves now, we've got the Michael Saylor MicroStrategy level purchases and companies coming out, which is great. They're public companies and they have to make it known. Behind the scenes, there's a lot of private companies that are starting to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet, and that's happening in the background, has been happening for a long time. So they're the sort of things that we're seeing in the background. We're seeing similar sentiment to 2017, where we're seeing companies that now are looking to start up, whether they're doing ETFs, whether they're doing Bitcoin exchanges, whether they're trying to set up, there's Bitcoin infrastructure companies that are looking to start up. There's so many that we're talking to and having these conversations with, and it's very similar to 2017, but it feels a little bit more now like there's some real substance behind it. Whereas 2017, people were contacting us, I want to get involved in Bitcoin, but I don't know how. And you'd sit there, you'd have a conversation for an hour or so, and you get to the end of it, and you're kind of like, well, you're not quite ready yet. Come back in a couple of years. And I think this now is the time when people are coming back. So many more individuals is slow and steady in terms of the retail market. They're still coming in, but not quite at the pace of 2017 yet, but picking up. But the company side of things is picking up drastically compared to what we saw in 2017. And that's companies wanting to accept Bitcoin as a payment, what companies wanting to buy Bitcoin to put on the balance sheet, and companies wanting to make use of it in terms of a global payment around the world. So it's not necessarily them adding it to their website or anything, but they may have invoices from suppliers that they're wanting to pay in Bitcoin. And this is now starting to become more and more of a trend and genuine substance behind this. It's becoming real use cases, real world use cases. So it's really something just to highlight. I know a lot of people don't, again, as I was saying at the start, that they're not privy to the conversations that companies like ourselves will get to have with other companies. And it's certainly something that is happening. I think everyone kind of thinks it is, but never quite sure. But I can assure you that, yeah, it's definitely happening in the background.
So you were saying that you're feeling like it's not quite kind of 2017 level. So you do you get the feeling that it's still kind of like early in this part of the cycle where people are starting to perk up and go, oh, yep. and you said it's mostly companies as opposed to individuals.
Yeah, I think the resale individuals, they kind of flooded in a little bit over sort of December, January time, and we had the big pickup then. Once the price kind of settles down, then we've kind of died off a little bit to some extent. But even back in December, January, it's not quite the level of 2017. Whereas the company side, that is picking up a lot more. And it's not just the conversation. I think there's genuine substance behind a lot of it now compared to 2017. So they understand now what they want to use it for more, and they're looking to now come and make actual use of Bitcoin, whether it's, as I say, payments around the world, balance sheet, or adding it to their payment gateway, their website, their checkout.
I also think, sorry, Dan.
Sorry.
Oh, go on. I also think these companies seeing the likes of Tesla adding it to their balance sheet and Square kind of helps legitimize it to them and themselves as a business. So then they start taking it a bit more seriously, maybe, than they would a few years ago.
Yeah, it's confidence.
Yeah, it's interesting to because it's really just one domino after another, and I, if it wasn't Michael Saylor, it would have been somebody else. But it does kind of help that he really kicked things off with a bang, saying, "Hey, we're going to take our entire treasury and dump it fully into Bitcoin." That really did. If it had started off with a company like his saying, hey, we're going to put like 5%, then that would not really have made the waves that it has. But now you have that as kind of like your base. And then everybody's like, well, I mean, I don't know if we can do zero now. Like we're going to look like a bunch of dunces if we're just doing zero. So maybe we'll just do a conservative 5 to 10%, and that seems to be kind of like the Square or the Tesla model where they're going, okay, it's stupid not to have something in this, and we can stomach 5 to 10%, and that's totally reasonable.
Yep. Yeah, completely.
Yeah. Now, I guess you can't speak to exactly, who you've had these conversations with, but in terms of like the ratio of like, hey, we're trying to figure out maybe payments something versus, hey, we just want, a bit of a hedge on our balance sheet, or we want to hold this asset on our balance sheet. Like, what would you say you're seeing more of right now?
Probably the use case piece. So actually making the payments globally. I guess being on the Isle of Man, we have a lot of corporate service providers here, and they have a lot of clients all around the world. And that's part of whether they've got e-gaming companies or FX companies or things like that, where there's money being sent all around the world in different countries. So we're starting to see a lot more pickup from that perspective. They were conversations that were happening back in 2017. To be fair, actually back in 2015 sort of times we was having these conversations, but there was never it was never ready. And I'm not saying Bitcoin was never ready, sorry, it was more the end companies were never really ready for it. And now I think as time's gone on, the confidence has increased in Bitcoin. The Lindy effect, which is one I always like to refer to, the longer something, a piece of technology lasts for, the more confidence it becomes that it's going to have a longer lifespan, which is what we're seeing in Bitcoin right now. So yeah, definitely probably more on that side. The balance sheet piece is creeping in now. A lot more. I've had quite a few questions this week in terms of companies adding it to the balance sheet. And I think a lot of that ends up, I think they've kind of made the mind up they're going to do it. It's more of a, what's the tax implications and how does that work and that side of things really. It's
somebody Damon in the comments said, I like what Novogratz said. how big businesses, many can't invest until price actually gets higher. If it's worth more, then they will be more incentivized to invest. And it's kind of like this de-risking when it gets to a certain threshold, like with Bitcoin crossing the $1 trillion asset mark, it very much becomes a different kind of class of asset in the eyes of a lot of these institutions that previously couldn't even touch it before it reached this level. And so I think we're kind of on the path to seeing an entirely different kind of entity getting interested in Bitcoin. And I think we're just seeing some of the precursors to that right now.
Yeah, I think funds as well. So you've got the side of obviously the Teslas and the likes buying Bitcoin and putting on the balance sheet, but you've got the likes of pension schemes and things where they want to effectively allow them to be able to put a portion of their pension into Bitcoin. And right now there's regulatory reasons that they can't do it. And a lot of the time that ends up being we need like ETFs. So that is, again, in the UK. There is companies now starting to look at creating ETFs in the UK and bringing them out, and with that will come some exposure for pension schemes and the likes to be able to get involved and have exposure in that respect. So I think that is still all to come this year. Hopefully that will come this year. I know in Canada you had your first, was it last week? Was it?
No, we've got 3 now.
Oh, right.
We've got 3 Bitcoin ETFs. So the first one launched not too long ago, like the past month or so. But since then, 2 more have been approved, and one of the closed-ended funds has now applied to swap over to be an actual ETF. So it's like as soon as it was open, it was just like the floodgates just wide open, and everybody piled in. And actually, on the day that the first ETF launched, it was the #1 traded ETF in all of Canada. And in fact, it was 3 times more traded than the next closest ETF. So people just flowed into that thing like crazy. And part of me wonders, like, how long can other countries put this off and say, no, we're not going to do it? Like, it's ridiculous to me that like the US, like that we share a border with, is still dragging their heels on this. And some Americans do have access to the Canadian ETF, and those that don't are just using other instruments as kind of like a proxy. They'll buy MicroStrategy. They'll JP Morgan is launching a fund that is like it's like a bunch of, it's like a basket of companies that are in some way, shape, or form related to Bitcoin. And so like it's almost irresponsible of them not to provide this product to the market, because the market wants it, and they're going to find it in whatever way, shape, or form they can. And it's just inefficient to not have it available.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah,
it kind of feels like
wild.
Bitcoin's matured and all growing up, hasn't it, with all these sort of like responsible kind of companies getting involved.
It is. It's weird, and some people take that differently. Like some people. They look and they say, the worst knee-jerk reaction that I see is they see that different types of people see value in Bitcoin now, and then they assume that means it's been co-opted. But when I look at it, I see it as, oh, great, the Trojan horse is being wheeled through the gates, wheeled right through the gates right now. Everybody's thinking, oh, it's just a store of value. But like, in the long run, I kind of expect that it's going to dismantle a lot of the problems that we have with markets and I don't want to say inequality, but like the consequences for poor economic decisions do not affect everybody equally. If you're high enough up the ladder, then you are immune to making bad decisions because you'll be bailed out. But if you're a mom and pop shop, you make a bad decision, your business is closed down and you're on the street. So, it'll kind of even those things out where if you're a big institution and you make a bad play, a really bad play, as they're accustomed to having no consequences for those actions, when you're dealing with an actual hard asset that is auditable and deliverable immediately, that becomes a real problem for you. And I think people don't realize that yet. So I guess we'll see what the fallout of that and the implications are. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is we're just over the hour mark now. There's over 100 people here. Again, guys, if you can smash that like button, give this a share. It helps a ton, gets more eyeballs in here. But what I'm going to do is first I'll say thank you guys all for joining me. This was a blast to chat about. It's always the best part of my Friday, talking about why we're bullish. And so what I want to do is go down the line, get any final thoughts from you guys. And also for each of you, just drop where people can find you, whether it be Twitter or anything else. And CoinCorner in general. I've linked to all of their Twitter accounts in the show notes if you want to check them out. But let's go down the line. Any final thoughts? Let's go with Dave first.
My final thought would be, I think we're still early. It's all still early in the Bitcoin the stratosphere. So, get involved. It's not too late.
Yeah, 100%. And where can what's your Twitter, Dave?
It's CoinCorner Dave. I'm a Beeple wannabe. If you want to see some very
people.
Yeah.
Oh wait, and we're gonna add in, just because Steven did a super chat. I'm gonna give him this. Also, if you guys want to field a Monday Bitcoin price prediction from the 5 of you, I'll do one. I'm gonna say we're gonna blast through an all-time high this weekend, and I think we'll see 60K plus by the end of the weekend into Monday. That's my guess. But if you want to do a prediction, you can. If I don't know if that's allowed with your company. But anyways, Dave.
So I do a price prediction. I reckon it might touch a 58 and then hit back to a 55. I reckon it'll be 55 on Monday.
This is about why we're bullish.
Pessimist.
Oh yeah, I was going to say 30.
That is it. Yeah.
Get him out of here.
Thick accounting bullish. Kick him out.
Oh, he's gone. Oh, he's
All right. Molly, where any final thoughts? If you want to throw in a price prediction, and where can people find you on Twitter?
Okay, cool. Final thoughts. I just want to take a moment to remember all the weak hands we lost this time last year. The cheap stats we got as a result of those guys. Thank you very much. You can find me on Twitter, CoinCorner Molly.
The real CoinCorner Molly, isn't it?
The real. Oh yeah. So I've had to change my Twitter name to the real.
What an ego! What an ego!
I know, right? Comes with the fame. Price. I'm gonna go 61. I think we could smash through the 60K. I think the momentum is there, especially with Michael Saylor just announced that buy.
Yeah, you're making Dave look bad here.
Yeah,
makes himself look
should
bad.
have been so bearish.
Let's do Zakk. Final thoughts. Where can people find you, and a price?
Final thoughts. Going to turn it back to Lightning again. If you guys haven't tried Lightning yet, please try it out. Like I say, I think it's the future for Bitcoin payments. Bullish on Lightning, bullish on Bitcoin. Price prediction: 61,421. And CoinCorner Zakk on Twitter.
I love it. And okay, and then let's go to Danny. What are you thinking? Final thoughts. Where can people find you, and price?
Final thoughts, just reiterating what Dave said, I think, in terms of we're still early. And I think one of the questions I've been getting a lot recently is it too late to buy Bitcoin? And then I have to try and explain to them, that's not a thing. If Bitcoin survives and does what it's meant to do there, the price will always naturally increase against whatever you're comparing it against, to dollar, pound, whatever. So I think one of the things is don't ever think about, you are too late to the party, and it's not too late to buy. Price predictions, I'm just going to go 62,000. I have various reasons, I guess, around it, but yeah, I'd say 62,000 by, are we saying end of play Monday?
This is like watching The Price is Right.
Yeah, on Twitter, obviously, yeah, CoinCorner Danny, same. Kept the
you don't need any more
naming convention. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for being on here. It's always a blast. Again, always the best part of my Friday, and it was great to have some friends from across the pond. Are you guys? I don't know if you'll be. Are you guys allowed to go to Bitcoin 2021? Are you thinking about it in Miami?
Unfortunately, not. I guess we can leave the island, but then I'm not sure actually. UK, no, UK. I don't think at the minute is allowing flights out either. But yeah, if we leave, when we come back, we have to isolate. Is it 3 weeks now?
It's 2 weeks if you get a test, and then 3 weeks if you don't get a COVID test. It's just not worth it for a 2-day event, is it?
We'll be there in spirit.
Yeah,
we're sponsoring it, aren't we? I forgot about that. So
yeah,
MtSocks, of course. Yeah,
of course. Oh yeah, and then there we go. BTC Hardy, I'll reward a pair of MtSocks to the winner for Price is Right. Awesome. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me again. Everybody that's here, of course, thank you. Everybody in the chat that's been watching, over like 110 people in here right now. So thank you, guys. Guys, I'm going to cut your audio and video, but if you want to stick around for a minute for after we go off air, then I'll say a quick goodbye. But again, thank you guys very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right. So everybody, thank you for being here. Again, such a good Friday. I love having my end of the week with awesome guests talking about why we're bullish. As always, please do hit like, subscribe, and share. Those things really do help. It helps push this in front of more people and yeah, appease the algorithmic gods of YouTube. Now, if you want to help out the show in another way, you can always hit me up at the previously mentioned sponsors. That was LEDN, Cobo, Bitrefill, and Privacy Pros for that BillFodl. And if you really liked what you saw, you can always drop me, speaking of Lightning, a Lightning Network tip at my tippin.me page. That is tippin.me/@BTC Sessions. With that, I'm out. Have yourselves a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, and a great weekend wherever you are. I'll see you next time for your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.